Hello everyone. In this lesson we're going to learn how to send email from our Laravel app. Let's jump into the action. So right away I want to address something, and that is that when you're testing or practicing sending emails automatically through your application, it's nice to be able to send them to different addresses. In other words, imagine that anytime a user creates a new blog post, imagine we want to email that specific user that was logged in that created the post and say, congratulations on the new post. So Barksalot has their own email address to send that to. The Brad user has their own email address to send that to. And you and I might not want to hop back and forth between all of our different real-life email inboxes just to test that feature. So in situations like this, there's a product named Mailtrap that I'm a really big fan of. Essentially, you connect Laravel to your free Mailtrap account, and then no matter who you send the email to, Barksalot, Meowsalot, Brad, it doesn't matter, they're all going to be delivered into your sort of pseudo or virtual or fake Mailtrap account. It's really cool. They offer a generous free plan. I'm a big fan of it. Now, you might be asking yourself, but Brad, what about in the future when we're done testing and practicing and we actually do want to send real emails to the real addresses? Well, to get started, you could use a free tier of a SendGrid account, or you don't have to use a third-party service for delivering emails. You can use your actual Linux server in production. However, a higher percentage of your emails will be delivered to people's spam box, or they just won't be delivered at all compared to if you used a service. This is because configuring and maintaining a server to send email in a way where none of them get flagged as spam or abusive, that's actually more complicated and involved than you might guess. I'm not saying it's impossible. It's definitely doable to self-host your own email sending needs. It's just more involved than you might think. And so for that reason, it's outside the context of a course about Laravel. Big picture, in this lesson, we're going to use Mailtrap to practice sending emails, and then we're not going to walk through it, but if you were actually ready to send email, on your live production website to your actual users, you could try a free account from SendGrid. But either way, it's just like when we set up Laravel Scout or Laravel Broadcasting. The idea is that you can just switch out a different email driver in your .env file. Cool. At this point, let's move forward with Mailtrap. So I want you to pause the lesson and go sign up for a completely free, you don't even need to spend a penny or enter a credit card or anything. Just sign up for a free Mailtrap account. Okay, welcome back. So once you've signed up for your Mailtrap account and you've verified your email address, you should see a login or dashboard screen that looks something like this. And in a brand new Mailtrap account, our first step is to create a new inbox. So let's just use this button here, Set Up Inbox. From this screen, I want you to pay attention to this integrations menu. And instead of curl, I want you to click on it. And if you look under PHP, you might have to scroll down a bit, but you'll see there's an option called Laravel 7+. Let's click on that. Okay, and now down here, I'm going to filter out my secret values, but you would just copy all of this into your clipboard. So just click the copy button here on the top right corner of that box, and now go into your .env file, and for me it's around line 31. I'm not going to do it on camera, but you would just replace mail mailer, mail host, mail port, mail username, password, and encryption. So these 6 values, just replace them with whatever's in your clipboard from Mailtrap. Okay, now once you save those changes to your env file, we are ready to send our first email. There's a few steps. Let's begin by creating a Blade template, for the actual HTML email we want to send. So I would just go into my resources folder, and then in the views folder, I would just create a new file in the views folder. So new file, I'll name it maybe new post email.blade.php. In this file, let's just have maybe a div, and inside it, let's just say, a paragraph. This is a test, and maybe you want to make the word test bold, so you can wrap it in a strong tag. And maybe you want the entire thing to use a sans serif font. So on the opening div, I would say style equals, font family sans serif. Cool, let's go ahead and save this. And now, yes, this is our Blade template or our email template, but in Laravel, you need to create an actual email entity or a separate email file to represent, the sending of this email. Let me explain what I mean. So do this with me. In a command line, let's open up a new command line and say php artisan make mail, not email, just mail, and then you make up a name. Let's call it maybe like new post email. Go ahead and press enter. Now let me show you what that command just did. In our app folder, there's now a mail folder, and there's that brand new file, new post email. Let's open up that file. Okay, now if you scroll down to the very bottom of this file, you'll see that there's a function named build. It's already set up to look for a Blade template. Let's just change the name of the Blade template to match the one that we just created. So instead of view.name, it would be new post email, just like this. Let's go ahead and save. And now the question becomes, well, how do we actually use or, send this email? Right? This file that lives in the mail folder called new post email. Well, check this out. Let's go into our post controller, because remember, our goal is that whenever you create a new blog post, right? So if you filled this out and clicked save new post, we would want to send an email to that, the user or author of the new post saying congratulations. So to do that, I would just jump into my postcontroller.php file. Let's look for our function that's named create or store new post. So here it is for me around line number 46. And essentially, just before we return the redirect, so right about here, let's just send the email. So we're going to say uppercase mail, : and call a method of to. We'll fill that in just a moment, but after that, let's look inside that and call a method of send, and this line with a semicolon. Now, what do we want to send? We want to send a new instance of our email. So we named it new post email, parentheses to call it. Okay, and now in the two parentheses, we give it a string and to email address. Let's just send it to, just for an example, like test@google.com. We can fill this in with a real address in just a moment. Now, before we save this, let's not forget we need to import both uppercase mail and our new post email. So if you right click on mail, click import class, cool, and then right click on new post email, import class, beautiful. Let's go ahead and save this and test it out. So if you just create a new blog post, I'll say new example Brad post, content here, and I go ahead and save the new post. You can see it's taking a few seconds. We'll learn how to eliminate that extra waiting a few seconds in our very next lesson. We will eliminate that slowness, but you can see it went through. And now here's the cool part. If you go into Mailtrap, on the left-hand side of your inbox, you can click My Inbox up at the top. Inbox is My Inbox. But there we see, new post email to test@google.com. And if you click on it, beautiful. We can see that word even got bolded. It's using HTML. This is awesome. So now let's actually make the email specific, though. We don't want to send it to test@google.com. We'd actually want to send it to whoever created the new post. And then also in the message, we'd probably want to say like, congrats on your new post, and then, the name of the post or the title of the post. So let's start to make this email a bit more specific instead of really just vague. So in our post controller, instead of hard coding the to value, here's what I would do. In these parentheses for to, I would just call our auth function, look inside that, call the user function, and look inside that for the email property. Okay? Then when we're creating a new instance of our email, in these parentheses, I would just give it an array and now spell out the different properties. So for example, like their username, right? Like we're going to say, congratulations, Brad, or congrats, Barks a lot. So I would set that to equal and then just, call auth, call user, look inside that for username, comma, and then I would have a property of title and just set that to equal $new post, look inside it for title. Let's go ahead and save this file, and now we just want to go into our email file and receive this incoming data. So just go back into new post email. Below this use queuable line, let's say public, and let's just make up a variable name. Let's call it maybe just data, or you could name it incoming or unicorn or pizza, but the idea is that now we can actually access that in the construct function. So let's say, in these parentheses, $data, and then I just want to store that incoming data on this object. So I would say $this, create a property, I'll name it data equals just the incoming $data. Cool. So now that data will be stored on this object. Now here's the cool part. Down here when we're building the actual email view, let's just pass that data into the view. So this is the first argument for view, but then you can say comma, give it an array. Let's say, title should just be, we would just start with $this, look inside that for data, and then in that array, I would just look for title. Okay, I would do the same thing with name. So comma, let's have a property of name, set that to equal $this, look inside that for data, in the array, name. Cool, so now we can use those values, like in the email, we can say, hey Barks-a-Lot, congrats on the new post that you named the title. If you want to control the subject line of the email, right before we call the view method, so right here after this, we could just say, call subject method, and then after that, call the view method, and then just give it a subject. Let's say, congrats on the new post, exclamation. Let's save this, and now let's go into our actual Blade file and use the title and the name. So in our new post email blade.php file, here's what I would do. Let's get rid of this paragraph and instead let's say thank you for creating a new post, comma, and then this would be their name, like Barks-a-Lot, right? So I would wrap it in a bold or strong tag, end the sentence with a period, but in the strong tag, it would just be, double curly brackets because of Blade, and look for name, $name. And then below that, we could have another paragraph that says your new post is named. And then again, I would have a bold tag. And inside there, we could say double curly brackets, and it would just be $title. Cool, let's go ahead and save this and test it out. So I'm gonna create one more blog post as Brad. So create post, quick test by Brad. This is my content. And if I go ahead and click save new post, should just take a few seconds. If I go back into Mailtrap, there it is, awesome. There's our subject line. You can see it was actually sent to Brad at Learn Web Code. And there we see our content. Thank you for creating a new post, Brad. Your new post is named Quick Test by Brad. This is perfect. In our next lesson, we're going to learn how to improve the user experience. Let me explain. So remember when I created a post, and as soon as I won't actually click the button, but as soon as you click Save New Post, it actually takes a few seconds, and then it redirects you to your new post. That's because the process of, Laravel communicating to Mailtrap or whatever mail server you're using, that's going to take a few seconds. So wouldn't it be a lot better if that task of actually sending the email could be handled asynchronously or in the background, right? We don't want that network task of sending an email to block this user experience. The millisecond that someone clicks this button, we would just immediately want to redirect them to their new post, right? So if I actually create this, we should immediately redirect them to this screen, and then in the background, asynchronously, we can worry about actually making sure that that email gets sent. That would make our website feel so much faster than actually waiting for the email to be sent before letting the user continue on. Well, in order to set something like that up, in our very next lesson, we're going to learn about jobs and something in Laravel called the queue. This is going to be a ton of fun to set up. It's going to really improve the performance or the feel of our application. So let's keep things rolling, and I'll see you then.